Adorable. Hi, folks. I recall this meeting of council to order. It's 7 o'clock, so we have quorum, so I'll reconvene this meeting of council. Welcome to folks in the gallery and to those watching at home. Just a reminder that we are live streaming on our YouTube channel. It's also available after the fact, and it's available on Tell-Il for a week following the event. I want to begin by acknowledging that we are gathered today in Unmagi, the land of the fog, a part of Mi'kma'ki, the unceded, traditional territory of the Mi'kmaq people since time immemorial. We honor and thank the Mi'kmaq for sharing their land and home with us. Please stand, if you're able, for the playing of O Canada.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command.
Car ton bras s'est porté l'épée, il s'est porté la croix. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits.
God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
I'll ask the clerk to take the roll call of councillors.
Thank you, Madam Chair. District 1, Councillor Sean Sampson. Present. District 2, Warden Lois Landry.
Present.
District 3, Councillor Brian Marchand. Present. Thank you. District 4, Councillor Amanda Mombriquette.
Present.
Thank you. And District 5, Deputy Warden Brent Sampson. Present. The roll has been called, Madam Chair.
Thank you, CAO. You have the agenda in front of you. It was circulated last week. Are there any additions to council as circulated pursuant to the council procedural policy? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to approve the agenda as circulated.
I'll move the approval of the agenda.
Moved by Deputy Warden Sampson. Can I have a seconder?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Councillor Mombriquette to adopt the agenda as circulated. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion is carried. We're going to take a minute to not only present checks to our local food banks, but more importantly to recognize the critically important work that these organizations do. On behalf of Council and all of Richmond County's residents, please accept our heartfelt thanks for those contributions over the last year and moving forward, particularly as we move through the Christmas holidays. So talk's cheap, takes money to buy stuff. So we're going to take a minute to present some checks and take a few photos while we're doing that. So I'll begin by calling from District 1 and 2, the Isle Madame Food Bank, Paul Boudreau.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
From District, I guess 3, Blair Landry is here from Loosedale? Oh, Brian, sorry. I took my glasses off. See what happens?
Changed your name.
Yeah. Do you want to take?
Oh, yep.
No, yep.
Do you want to take?
No, I want you to.
The other way, maybe. Is it? this one.
Thanks, guys.
From District 5, Sally Mumbercat and Steve Sampson.
Take the money. Thank you very much. Well, that's right, take the money.
Great, thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
If you need one, I can send you one.
Oh, no, that's okay.
Okay, I will. Great, thank you.
Is that it? There's the one.
And accepting on behalf of the St. Peters and Area Food Bank Society, Amanda Mumbercat. Thank you. Oh, wait a minute.
Oh. Okay, we're good to go. Thank you. I'll
I think
take
that's
that
all
too.
of them. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes. Both of us?
Yeah.
Yep.
You said District 1 and 2, should I?
Scotia? Oh, sorry.
We're here, we want our picture taken.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
Thumbs to sign, there we go. There.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much, folks. Oh,
Dropped off. Okay. Yeah.
and unfortunately, the representative from Baudelaire couldn't be with us, so Deputy Warden Sampson will make sure that they get theirs. So thank you very much. Moving on to the next agenda item is the review of the minutes. We have two sets of minutes, both from November 25th, included in your package for folks following along at home. That's on page 4 of the package that was published online.
You may want to let the people in the gallery know they can leave if they would like.
Oh, yes, and I not that council proceedings are not gripping and terribly exciting, but if you are here for the presentation, no one will be offended if you sneak out. We're fine with that. Save yourself, just save yourself.
An orderly queue.
So the first review of the minutes. First minutes to look at from November 25th are the public hearing that was held on that day. So those are on page 4 of your package. Looking for a motion, unless anybody has any errors or omissions to flag, looking for a motion to accept those as circulated. Councillor Marchand? Or Mumbercat, sorry.
Okay, thanks, Warden. I did notice a misspelling, I think, in the constituent's name it's at page 5 of our package. I think there's an E missing where Jermaine McDonald approached the mic, so I just, yeah. Other than that, with that correction, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
So I have a motion on the floor to approve the minutes of the public hearing with the addition of the correction on the name of Jermaine under receipt of oral written submissions. Can I have a seconder on that motion?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Deputy Warden Sampson. All those in favor of accepting the minutes for the public hearing as amended, signify by saying aye. Those opposed, motion is carried. The next set of minutes are from the regular council meeting held on that same day, November 25th, 2024. Are there any errors or omissions to the minutes as circulated? For those folks following at home, those start on page 11 of your package. Hearing no concerns, I'll entertain a motion to accept those as circulated.
I'll make that motion.
Moved by Councillor Sampson. Can I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Mumbercat to adopt the regular council meetings of November minutes for November 25th as circulated. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed? Motion is carried. So we're now going to open up for a 10-minute question period. We're taking questions from the gallery or by phone. For folks watching at home, you can call 902-226-9885. Again, there is a slight delay, so we usually pause here for a good chunk of time because there is a delay for folks who are calling from home. And this question period is restricted to items on the committee reports. So if there's anybody in the gallery who has any questions, otherwise we'll just wait a minute to see if there are any questions. I think we're okay. So, no questions for us on committee reports, so then we will move on to those committee reports. So we have 3 committee reports to review this evening. I'll turn it over to Deputy Warden Sampson for the Committee of the Whole report.
Committee of the Whole report, December 2024. The committee met on December 2nd, 2024. The committee discussed the recommendation from the in-camera session. I move that the Committee of the Whole recommend to Council to appoint Dorothy Boer to the IDEA Committee for a 5-year term, Robin Cotton and Robert Wombolt to the Planning Advisory/Heritage Committee, both for 5-year terms, Stacey Morrison to the RCMP Advisory Board for a 5-year term, Cindy Walker to the Destination Cape Breton Association Board for a 3-year term, and further move that Council direct staff to advertise any remaining vacancies to ABCCs.
Motion on the floor. Verbatim, you can read that on page 24 of our package if anybody is interested. Can I have a seconder on that motion? Seconded by Councillor Marchand. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? That motion is carried.
The committee discussed the designation of Destination Cape Breton Association to administer the Cape Breton Island Marketing Levy. I move that the Committee of the Whole recommend to Council to designate Destination Cape Breton Association as the administrator of the marketing levy for Richmond County.
Motion on the floor. Can I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Mumbercat to recommend to Council CAO be directed to request financial statements for the past 3 to 4 years from Destination. Oh, I'm sorry, the one before that. Committee of the Whole recommend to Council to designate Destination CB Association as the administrator of the marketing levy for Richmond County. Any question on that motion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion is carried.
The committee discussed the request for the Destination Cape Breton Association financial statements. I move that the Committee of the Whole recommend to Council that the CAO be directed to request the financial statements for the past 3 to 4 years from the Destination Cape Breton Association.
Motion on the floor. There is a motion on the floor. Do we have a seconder?
I'd like to make a motion to amend to remove the words 3, 2. So THREE space TO and leave that at 4.
Actually, I believe we specifically said 4. Yeah. So that the motion was 4 years. I remember actually clarifying when you made the motion, when we voted on it. So
There's a couple of ways of doing it.
yeah. I think we have to second the original motion, then amend it, vote on the amendment, and then vote on the...
The original.
Yeah, but I'm wondering, correct, do we not have to second the original motion? Yeah, I think we,
No. Oh, well.
yeah, there's a motion on the floor. It needs a seconder, and then you can move the amendment to the motion. We vote on the amendment, and then we vote on either the original or the amended motion. On that, I'm quite sure.
We have to vote on the amendment first.
Yes, but we need a seconder on the motion before we can make the amendment. Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you as much as you, it sounds. So the motion on the floor is as 3 to 4. So can I have a seconder for that motion? Okay, so seconded by Councillor Sampson, the motion as presented, which is 3 to 4 years. Would you, Councillor Marchand, would you like to make a new motion?
I'll make a motion to amend to remove the word 3, 2.
So can I have a seconder on the motion to amend? Seconded by Councillor Sampson. So we're going to vote on the amendment. So what we're voting on is to change the original motion to only 4 years, not 3 to 4 years. Okay? All those in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion is carried. So now we're going to vote on the original motion with the amendment. So I will read it. I move the Committee of the Whole recommend to Council that CAO be directed to request the financial statements for the past 4 years from destination Cape Breton. Any question on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, that motion is carried.
The committee discussed the deer population briefing note update. I move that the Committee of the Whole recommend to Council that staff be directed to select quotes for the above noted work, deer population briefing note attached.
There's a motion on the floor. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Mumbercat. Question on the motion? Brian, Councillor
I'd like to make a motion to amend again. I'd like to remove the word select on the second line and put in request. I think the initial discussion was using the word select. The motion that got voted on was using the word request. So my motion is to remove the word select or replace the word select with request. And I would also like to add that we have staff speak with NSCC before looking for quotes. So,
Yeah, I agree, Councillor Marchand. I think we did definitely land on the request. So I'll second your motion to amend that.
So just to review, there is a motion on the table, and the amendment is to change the word select and replace it with request, and that to add that requesting have staff speak with NSCC and then be directed to, before looking, Okay, so that's the motion for amendment and the seconder on that motion. Do we have any questions on the amendment? No? Hearing none, all those in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? That motion is carried. So I'll do my best to read the amended motion. I move the Committee of the Whole recommend to Council that staff be directed to speak to NSCC and then request quotes for the above noted work. Have I captured that properly? Yes? Well, sorry, I want to capture your words properly.
I would say the Committee of the Whole recommend to Council that staff be directed to request quotes for the above noted work and have staff speak with NSCC before looking for these quotes.
So words are in a different order, but same. Yep.
Yeah. Did you get that, Charlie?
Okay. So can I have the clerk read that, just so that there's no confusion as to what we're voting on? Oh, sorry.
I move that the Committee of the Whole recommend to Council that staff be directed to request quotes for the above noted work and to have staff speak with NSCC before looking for quotes.
That's the motion on the floor. That is amended from the original motion. Any question on that motion? Final. Okay. Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carried.
The committee discussed the approved fire equipment reallocation. I move that the Committee of the Whole recommend to Council to accept the volunteer fire department equipment funding memo from the Emergency Services Coordinator.
Motion on the floor. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Sampson. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed? That motion is carried.
The committee discussed property AAN 04127-455, which was damaged by fire. I move that the Committee of the Whole recommend to Council to write off the taxes for property AAN 04127-455, owned by Rodney Sampson, which was completely destroyed by fire, in the amount of $400.69, which represents taxes on the dwelling only from August 7th, 2024 to March 31st, 2025.
Motion on the floor. Can I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Sampson. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion is carried.
The committee discussed the invitation to join the Rural Region 1 Solid Waste Committee. I move that the Committee of the Whole recommend to Council to have the Director of Public Works and one member of Council, pending selection, attend the Rural Region 1 Solid Waste Committee meetings.
Motion on the floor. Can I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Mumbercat. Any question on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? That motion is carried.
This concludes the Committee of the Whole report for the month of December 2024, and I move its adoption.
Thank you, Deputy Warden Sampson. Motion to adopt the Committee of the Whole report. Can I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Marchand. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? That motion is carried. Moving on to the Policy and Bylaw Committee. Again, I'll turn it over to Deputy Warden Sampson for the Bylaw Policy Committee report.
Thank you.
The committee met on December 2nd, 2024. The committee discussed the Municipal Emergency Management Planning Committee, MEMPC, terms of reference. I move that the Bylaw Policy Committee recommend to Council to adopt the MEMPC terms of reference with the changes as discussed.
Motion on the floor to adopt the, recommend Council to adopt the MEMPC terms of reference. Can I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Sampson. Any question on the motion? Any, Brian, Mr. Marchand? Councillor Marchand? I'll call you all kinds of things. Here's a slow.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not supporting passing this right now. I think we need further discussion. In some sections of it, we speak of the emergency bylaw being bylaw 50 and others bylaw 51. So there are some sections as well, upon reviewing it again, that with what the committee, other duties, I guess, may assist in. So I have some concerns, so I won't be supporting passing this now. Thank you, Warden.
Can you reference where you see the misprint or the reference to the different bylaws? So I see 50.
I'll have to look through it again, but I saw it on the computer. So under mandate, I see bylaw 50 there. And let me see where else. Under 3.3, I see bylaw 51.
Okay.
So I think we, yeah.
So aside from the typo, do you have concerns?
Yeah, but I would just like further discussion. It doesn't matter to me if you pass it or not. We can discuss it at any time, I guess. I think I was too focused on the dog bylaw.
So we know that there is a typo in here. So we have a couple of paths forward. We have a motion on the floor to adopt with a seconder. And we know that there's an error in here, and we have flagged concerns from one councillor. So we can adopt, we can have an amendment to address the typo, which I think at minimally we should do. We don't want to send something out that has, we know as a mistake. And then we could vote on the amendment and then vote and see which councillors are in favor of adopting the terms of reference. So I'm looking for, we know that there is a typo, so
Okay.
Councillor Mershon?
So I'll make the amendment. I'll move that we amend on, I don't know what page it is, but it's section 3.3 to correct the typo error from bylaw 51 to bylaw 50.
So we know there is a typo on, it's page 31 on the package. Item 3.3 says bylaw 51. It should say bylaw 50. So there's a motion on the floor to amend the motion so that we include that correction. Can I have a seconder for that amendment? Seconded by Councillor Mumbercat. So we're voting on the amendment to fix the typo. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? The motion is carried. So the motion on the floor now is to adopt the terms of reference for the, what's it called again? The, yeah, Municipal Emergency Management Planning Committee with the edit as we just, yeah, on Article 0.3.3. That's what we're voting on. All those in favor of adopting those terms of reference signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion is carried.
This concludes the Bylaw Policy Committee report for December 2024, and I move its adoption.
Thank you, Deputy Warden Sampson. There's a motion to adopt the Bylaw and Policy Committee report. Can I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Sampson. Any question on the motion? No. All those in favor of adopting the Bylaw and Policy Committee report signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed?
I'll have to say no, I guess.
Saying no. Okay. Fire Protection Services Committee report. So Councillor Marchand is the councillor who represents us on that committee. So I'll ask Councillor Marchand for his to provide us with that report.
Okay. Thank you, Warden. The Fire Protection Services Committee report for November 2024. The committee last met on November 27, 2024. The committee discussed the recruitment of volunteer firefighters in Richmond County. I move that the Fire Protection Services Committee recommend to Council to have municipal staff meet with the volunteer fire departments to discuss advertising in the Richmond Reflections for the recruitment of volunteer firefighters in Richmond County.
Motion on the floor. Can I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Sampson. Question is to recommend council to have municipal staff meet with the volunteer fire departments to discuss advertising in the Richmond Reflections for the recruitment of the volunteer firefighters in Richmond County. Any question on that motion? All those in favor signify by saying, Councillor Marchand, did you have?
No.
Oh, that's okay. All those in favor of the motion on the floor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? That motion is carried.
This concludes the report for the Fire Protection Services Committee for November 2024, and I move its adoption.
Moved by Councillor Marchand that we adopt the Fire Protection Services Committee for November 2024. Can I have a seconder?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Deputy Warden Sampson. Any question on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion is carried. So there are a couple of items for us that are verbal in nature, meaning you won't find information about them on the package, but Councillor Mumberket has brought forth a couple of items with a verbal update for each. The first is the electric vehicles in tendering requirements, which I believe is from a session from the NSFM's fall convention. So, Councillor Mumberket.
Thank you, Warden. So yeah, no, that's exactly right. In part of some of the discussions at the NSFM conference, the municipality, one municipality shared their experience in looking at electric vehicles as part of their tendering requirements. So as many of you know, this June, the Government of Canada set a mandatory target that all new light-duty cars and passenger trucks will need to be zero emissions by 2035, accelerating Canada's target by 5 years. It's also a priority of the Government of Nova Scotia, and they have the Electrify Nova Scotia rebate program through the Clean Foundation. It was in some of my discussions with the Mayor of Bridgewater, Mayor Mitchell, related to their municipal experiences with EVs. I believe they were one of the first municipalities in Canada, actually, to have an EV as part of their police fleet. And kind of, talked about the purchase of their first Tesla vehicle for their policing services. It didn't seem to be a great fit for what the purpose of what they were using it for. So they switched to a different vehicle, an F-150 Lightning, I believe was the plug-in hybrid vehicle that they went with. And his experience with that, the way he related it, was that it's going really well. And so not only is it saving them in terms of greenhouse gas reductions, but also they're experiencing lower maintenance and operational costs. And I think, from discussing with him, he talked about how, there's an initial additional outlay of money, anywhere from $8,000 to $10,000 that you would pay for an EV, or PHEV in particular, but they're saving that or maybe more each year. So the EV as well has a longer lifespan, so overall those savings are starting to accumulate for them. So it's still early days for them, but they seem to be convinced. And also important to note that in their experience, the EVs that they purchased came with charging stations. So they didn't have to purchase the charging stations separately. So the infrastructure cost was, of course, significantly reduced, as we know from our experience of recently installing charging stations. So our situation's a bit different. Town of Lunenburg, kind of more condensed area, and we don't have a municipal police force per se. But we do have, obviously a much larger geography. So that being said, I think, it's important to consider that federal directive and our responsibility to reduce our own greenhouse gases, our emissions. So kind of what I took away from my discussions with him was that the type of EV also impacts whether or not it's going to be fit for purpose. So I guess, Warden, my purpose in bringing this forward was, I know we have a very robust purchasing and tendering policy. I was looking for potentially to make a motion to refer this item to staff to investigate the feasibility of gradually integrating more EVs into our public fleet vehicles, looking at it from the perspective of both GHG reduction and saving taxpayers' dollars. So that's the motion I wanted to put forward this evening, but happy to kind of have further discussion on it as well.
So you have made a motion, and we're looking for a seconder and can have some discussion on the other side of that. Seconded by Councillor Sampson. And so we're clear, we're talking about having staff explore the purchase of...
integrating more EVs into our public fleet over time.
Right, okay.
So not making any kind of...
Yeah. Okay. Question, discussion? Councillor Marchand?
So, Councillor Mumberket, when you say to integrate What kind of time period are you putting on that? Like, I'm not a big supporter of total EV, so, okay.
Yeah, so I'm not suggesting, I keep looking around, I'm not used to the mirror yet. So I'm not suggesting any kind of accelerated timeline. We have a capital plan now, the administration kind of keeps track of the age of our vehicles, what it's costing to maintain. I'm not suggesting anything accelerated, but just right now, the support I was looking for on the motion was to ask staff to investigate what that could look like going forward in terms of any potential savings to taxpayers or GHG reductions. So not really looking for a decision that we're going to switch to EVs, because I don't know that that's right for us, right? So that's the purpose of the investigation.
I'm just wondering if it would be something we'd refer even to, like, at budget time, if staff could have a report ready by then. I'd be comfortable with that. Like, I'm thinking of a lot of the fleet we have is probably not going to fall into this category at this time. Like, but there are some light-duty trucks. There's half tons that the county has, right? So in that case, it may be worthwhile on some of those, yeah.
Councillor Marchand, are you? No? Okay. Sure. Okay, so the motion on the floor is, as discussed, to refer to staff to provide us with some information. Any other question on the motion? Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? 1. Okay. Next issue with Councillor Mumbercat. We had some preliminary discussions, but I'm going to ask Councillor Mumbercat to speak to the exploration of Joint Management and Planning Committee for the Point Tupper Heavy Industrial Park. Councillor?
Thank you, Warden. And yeah, so further to the discussions that we've had, I know conversations that I've had over the last probably 6 months or more regarding management and planning for Point Tupper Heavy Industrial Park. A few years back, Richmond County and the Cape Breton Partnership had done some work on branding in the park, and they've done a great job with that. I think this prospectus that they developed looks really great. If you haven't seen it, if members of the public haven't seen it, it's available if you just Google Point Tupper Heavy Industrial Park prospectus, or it's on the Cape Breton Partnership's website. I think it's linked from our website. I think the link is working now. However, it's been a long-standing issue that the bottom line is that we don't own most of the lands in the park. The county doesn't. Those lands are owned by Invest Nova Scotia, formerly NSBI, and so oftentimes Richmond County doesn't really have any information about potential opportunities that emerge, or there's no, or we're unaware. There is either no future planning, or we're unaware of future planning happening to target developments to our knowledge. I think the discussion that the Cape Breton Partnership brought forward on the green cement plant is a great example of that, right? So we want to be kind of in the loop and be able to support those types of developments, because it has a direct impact on our ability to keep taxes low here in Richmond County and to generate jobs and economic growth. Further, I think over time, as certainly with our experience with some of the other activities in the park, the investment readiness of our park is of concern to me. Clear land titles, access to this, that, the other thing, different types of services, and I think those issues need to be resolved, and they can't be resolved by us without having, I think, very intentional discussions with Invest Nova Scotia and the province. I've spoken to MLA Boudreau on this in the past, Minister Boudreau now. When I originally created this update, that was before the changes there. And he fully agreed. He's supportive of any efforts that that we would be making to better develop the park. And I guess I would maybe say, especially in his new role as Energy Minister. So. And I'm, again, happy to have more discussions on this. What I look back to, and Councillors Sampson and Sampson, I look back at the experience we had on the fire protection issue in Point Tupper. We established a council and staff team to meet with officials with the town, and within 6 months we ended up with a 10-year agreement that finally provides service stability for the park. So was hoping that we could kind of move this forward with similar urgency. I guess. So the motion I would make at this point is to authorize a staff and council team to work with the province and Invest Nova Scotia on how or if this could work, just to do some exploration and have those discussions.
And by this, you're talking about a joint management and planning committee for the Point Tupper Heavy Industrial Park. Deputy Warden?
You're being cut off.
Okay, so the motion on the floor is to authorize staff and council to work with the province and Invest Nova Scotia on how or if a joint management and planning committee for the Point Tupper Heavy Industrial Park could work. It's a motion. Any discussion, question on that motion? Councillor Marchand?
Yeah. So when you're saying the joint management, you're speaking, okay, the province, and you said Invest Nova Scotia. This is just Richmond, though, dealing with these other government agencies. You're not including the town of Port Hawkesbury here when you say joint. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, not to be confused with our joint industrial park.
Yeah.
With the town of Port
Okay.
Hawkesbury.
Yeah, and thank you for that, because there is a joint industrial park with the town of Port Hawkesbury. We're talking about a joint management and planning committee, the joint being among the province, Invest Nova Scotia, and the county of Richmond. Okay. So,
Okay, what about the partnership?
Yeah, I mean, potentially.
so the motion on the floor is to authorize staff and council team to work to see if we could get one of those. I don't think we need to have an exhaustive list through this motion. It could be that staff, through their exploration of creating one, may choose to invite CBREN or any other organization. Is that fair to say?
Yep.
Okay.
Madam Chair, if I may, especially where our EDO is part of the Cape Breton Partnership, so our Economic Development Officer works directly for them, so.
So that would be an example of staff taking the opportunity through this process to see who else might be a good fit for that committee. Any other discussion?
Our EDO definitely works with CBREN, but are you talking the previous EDO?
No, our
Current EDO, okay.
works for the Cape Breton Partnership, yes.
Yes.
Okay. Any other discussion on that motion? Hearing none? I know you're lit up there, but I think.
Trying to cancel it.
Yeah, okay, just checking. There's lights everywhere. There's one over here too. Yeah.
Clayton's turning them all
Okay.
on for us.
Okay, so the motion on the floor, I'll read it again, is to authorize staff and council team to work with the province and Invest Nova Scotia on how a joint management and planning committee for the Point Tupper Heavy Industrial Park could work. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion is carried. So moving on to correspondence. So for folks following along at home, we're now on page 35 of 95 of this package. The first two actually require some action on our part. So Kathleen Jeffrey, so the first item, Kathleen Jeffrey, Interim Director of Finance, regarding the request for municipal guarantee for the Village of St. Peter's Community Hub renovation project. So you'll see on page 35 of your package, there is a memo to our CAO from the Interim Director of Finance. Dear CAO, please allow this to serve as a request from the Village of St. Peter's for Council to approve a loan guarantee in the amount of $206,000 for the purpose of the Village of St. Peter's Community Hub renovation project. I've attached a copy of the guarantee resolution, which needs to be signed by the clerk once approved by Council and sent to the Minister of Municipal Affairs for signature prior to the Village proceeding with the loan and project. I've also included some information provided by the Village. And there is some information on subsequent pages in your package, right through to page 45, information from the Village. So, Deputy Warden?
So just since we had first talked about some of this details with this project, probably a couple of years back now anyway, in the time since then I was contacted by a couple of members of the committee to look at some pricing and so on some of the work. I don't think we'll be involved in any of it going forward, but just because I was in the meantime, I'd like to declare a conflict at this time.
So Councillor Sampson, Deputy Warden Sampson has identified a conflict, and so he is leaving the room, for those who can't see it at home. Here's where we are, and we're looking for a motion to approve the loan guarantee. Do you have any thoughts? I'll make a motion to approve. Okay. So I'm actually going to read it because I want to be clear. So moved by Councillor Lumbercat that we approve a loan guarantee in the amount of $206,000 for the purpose of the Village of St. Peter's Community Hub renovation project. We have a seconder on that motion? Seconded by Councillor Marchand. Okay. Any question on the motion, Councillor Marchand?
I'm calling it the second page, but maybe it's page 36. Okay. At the very bottom, it speaks of, and I don't know how important this is, the date that the meeting was held. Do we need to change that?
We will.
Okay. So it's the 12th, the very bottom in the square.
It says 16th in yours. That was caught and changed
Okay.
for yours. And
It's the 16th, okay. Because I noticed that
the one she's going to sign.
what was sent, 16th.
And I actually believe I have to read it.
You do.
Yes.
You do if you're approving it, yes.
Okay, so we've made note of the fact that the date at the very bottom should read the 16th, which it will when I read it verbatim, read it aloud. Is there anything else, Councillor Marchand?
Is this wording kind of generic with when you're referring to section 88.3 of the MGA for how that's worded?
I believe so.
Okay.
It's taken right out of it.
I think that's what we saw in the last.
Because it's just where it says, okay, well, I'll read the whole thing, if I'm on there, yeah. Section 88.3 or sub 3 of the Municipal Government Act provides that no guarantee of a borrowing by the municipality shall have effect unless the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing has approved. And I thought it's approved the guarantee, but it says approved of the proposed borrowing or debenture and of the proposed guarantee. Because it seems the debenture is not, we're guaranteeing. So they're speaking of the debenture as well, because we're not taking that out. They are, right, after the project's done.
It's copied right from the MGA. It's the, yeah.
Because I think in the MGA it doesn't have that proposed borrowing or debenture is not before the proposed guarantee. But it's fine. I mean, obviously this is standard, and I don't think it'll prevent the guarantee.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Was it meant
It's
for her?
just repeated.
Yeah, it's just normally you don't see that in front of the guarantee, but that's okay. So do you have to read this?
I have to read what's here. Or, yeah, if I'm going to sign. So, Councillor Marchand, are you?
I'm okay with it. I was just
Yeah,
bringing that up.
fair, yeah. And we'll leave that to the village to sort out, should they run into trouble with this?
We're just guaranteeing the debenture.
100%.
Taking it out.
Okay,
It's not on our books, it's on theirs.
There is, and it's only guaranteed when the minister signs it.
Correct.
and that's in section 88.3. So, any other discussion, question on the motion? Or discussion on the motion? No? Okay, so there is a motion on the floor that has been moved and seconded. So all those in favor of that council approve a loan guarantee in the amount of $206,000 for the purpose of the Village of St. Peter's Community Hub renovation project, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? The motion is carried. Can we let the deputy know he can come back? Yep.
Be it there.
Okay, I guess you can stay there. So bear with me while I read the resolution. Municipality of the County of Richmond, Village Guarantee Resolution. The amount is $206,000. Village of St. Peter's project is the hub renovation project, whereas the Village of St. Peters is a village situated in the municipality of the County of Richmond, whereas the Village of St. Peters has, with the approval of the electors of the village, determined to borrow the aggregate principal amount of $206,000 for the purposes of hub renovation project, whereas the Village of St. Peters has requested that the municipality guarantee said borrowing. Whereas Section 89 of the Municipal Government Act provides that the municipality may guarantee a loan for the village, and whereas Section 88(3) of the Municipal Government Act provides that no guarantee of a borrowing by a municipality shall have effect unless the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, yeah, he's not the Municipal Affairs and Housing anymore, but has approved the proposed borrowing of debenture and of proposed guarantee. Be it therefore resolved that the municipality of the County of Richmond does hereby approve the borrowing by the Village of St. Peters, the aggregate principal amount of $206,000 for the purposes set out above. That subject to the approval of the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, the municipality does unconditionally guarantee repayment of the principal and interest of the borrowing so made, and that upon issues of the debenture, the warden and the clerk of the municipality do sign the guarantee attached to each of the debentures and affix thereto the corporate seal of the municipality. This is to certify that the foregoing is a true copy of the resolution read and duly passed at a meeting of the Council Municipality of the County of Richmond held on the 16th day of December 2004. 2024? What did I say?
2004.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
It's all good.
The good old days, yeah, sure. Yeah. Okay, so, we done that?
They'll
Yeah.
probably do it tomorrow.
Because you have 2025 there too.
Yeah, that'll change as well.
I have 24 here, yeah.
Those all got fixed.
Yeah,
In your copy.
yeah, he is no longer the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing.
It's a different department.
It's
department
just municipal affairs, so we can leave it to them to sort that out. Okay. In fairness, yeah, that was
Hopefully get it
very
in our
recent,
form.
yeah. Okay, moving along. 2, another item that requires a little bit of action on our part. Shailene, I think I'm saying that right, Shailene Barrett from the Alzheimer's Society of Nova Scotia, Regional Coordinator Education and Outreach Cape Breton, regarding the Alzheimer's Awareness Month proclamation request. So that is on page 45 of your package, and she is requesting the following proclamation or something similar could be considered by council. If I read it now, do I have to read it again after?
Typically,
Read them.
we do the motion and then we just read the.
Yeah, right. So I'm not going to read it, so I don't have to read it twice. So you can see the proclamation on page 45 of your package. So that is the request being made by the Alzheimer's Association. Can I have a motion?
Motion to approve the proclamation, yes.
Second that.
Great. And a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Marchand. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion is carried, and so I will read as follows. Proclamation, Alzheimer's Awareness Month, January of 2025. Whereas, there are an estimated 16,000 people living with dementia in Nova Scotia, and whereas it is projected that the number of people living with dementia in Nova Scotia will increase by 87%, with nearly 30,000 people likely to be living with dementia by 2050, and whereas the Alzheimer's Society of Nova Scotia is committed to alleviating the personal and social consequences of Alzheimer's disease and other dementias, and to promoting the search for the causes and cures. Therefore, be it resolved that I, Warden Lois Landry, on behalf of Richmond County Municipal Council, do hereby declare January as Alzheimer Awareness Month in the municipality of the County of Richmond. Signed at Arishat, Nova Scotia, this December 16th, 2024. Okay, moving along. There is an item for your information that does not require action, but is certainly a wonderful read. So your meeting package from pages 48 to 52 in your package include the annual newsletter from the Cape Breton South Recruiting for Health. It really does speak to some amazing things that are happening with that organization. So it is a wonderful read, anybody who gets a minute. And also I think that we should certainly be very thankful for the work this organization does. I don't know if anybody has any comments or thoughts. I think there have been several people who have sent their congratulations to Gina McDonald, who works on our behalf on this group. So really tremendous things happening. Okay, review of action items. You'll see those pages 53 to the end. Those are there for council to peruse. Don't know if anybody has any comments, concerns, queries about the action items? Hearing none. There were no items added to the agenda. So we now have a 10-minute question period. And these questions are restricted to items on the agenda that followed the committee reports. So we have 10-minute question period. If you're calling from home, it's 226-9885. That's 902-226-9885. So we'll wait a second. As I mentioned, we do have a little bit of a delay with the phone lines.
The time?
No, we do not. I checked. I know.
Couldn't muster it up.
I was just thinking, didn't mean to put you on the spot, Deputy. Hate to see that talent go wasted.
So, yeah, okay. So, we've come to the end of our agenda, but I do have something to say. Before we adjourn, a news on when council will meet in the new year. So the previous council had flagged concerns, council and staff had flagged concerns with Monday evening meetings. Oh, we do have there you go. I always think.
Good evening.
Yes, good evening. Robbie Foucher, District 1 ratepayer.
Okay.
I would have a question.
Go ahead, Robbie.
Yeah, concerning the item Cape Breton South recruiting for help. I read that annual report quite thoroughly, and there's one thing that I don't see in there in that annual report, and what causes me to ask this question, it's something that I guess is quite well known now, that our ER at the Straight Richmond Hospital is quite often closed, and I was just checking today again where it's projected that our ER will be closed at the Straight Richmond from December 20th to January 2nd. And I think it's well known that in Richmond County we're an aging population. We've been told that a number of times, and I tend to believe it because it's quite evident. And given an aging population, there is always more likelihood that this population will need emergency services. And if I'm looking at statistics for the past year or so, I think this is an ongoing situation with the ER closure at Straight Richmond Hospital. And I know that it's a situation that is more than county-wide, or a county problem, I should say. It's more of a provincial or even a Canadian problem. But I'm wondering, I didn't see anything at all in that annual report situation. Is there something that could be said to that, or is that beyond the scope of the work that is being done in that area?
Thanks for the question. Certainly, no one disputes the challenges that ER has had and the impact that has on Richmond County residents and beyond Richmond County. And it certainly speaks to the importance of the Cape Breton South Recruiting for Health. Councillor Marburkett, you had something to add?
Hi, Robbie. Yeah, no, you're 100% bang on. The situation at Straight Richmond is it's of paramount concern, I would say, in terms of recruitment of physicians. And, although it wasn't specifically highlighted in the text, a lot of the work that I know Gina does is related, is a hand-in-hand with the hospital. And for instance, Robbie, one example I could point to that is mentioned in the report is she speaks about the business of medicine, where we had medical residents in for a period of a couple of days to Richmond County and to the town, and they always do a tour of the Straight Richmond Hospital, so very specifically trying to use the positivity of the workplace there, but also the new facilities that they're putting in place there as a way to attract physicians. So it's definitely top of mind. Although I can see your point, it doesn't necessarily shine through in that report. But all of the pieces of work, all of the recruitment videos, we videotaped those at the Straight Richmond Hospital. Myself, Dr. Hanspal, a number of other folks involved. So it's been a lot of work featuring the hospital as a place where we're trying to recruit to.
Oh, I don't doubt that.
Yeah.
There is work being done there, but again, I think it's what I'm talking about is I think the last statistics I saw, we're talking of being closed for over 50% of the time. And I was wondering if, if in a report of that nature, we could not at least talk about a situation which everyone knows exists. And that's why I'm bringing it up, but it was simply a question, and I don't doubt that there's work being done, but it's still a concern, the fact that the ER is closed, and I'm going on the website, and I find that the ER is closed from December 20th to January 2nd. To me, that's an extended period of time, and it speaks to the importance of trying to recruit, especially in that area. So that was my question. Thank you for your response. Thank you for the opportunity. Have a good night.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you very much, Robbie. Yeah, Merry Christmas. Certainly, I think the work of the committee is designed, of the coalition, is to make sure that we get a good sense of the kinds of things that they're doing, but clearly no easy fix. We just had an election. I don't think there was a debate or radio interview or roundtable that didn't include reference to the challenges being faced by regions trying to recruit staff, doctors in particular. So lots of work to be done there, and we've seen what extended those of us who have family who are in hospital. We've seen what happens, when you have loved ones that have to be in Antigonish for weeks or months at a time when you're driving by a hospital that has empty beds. There is much to do.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
So as I was saying, there's no call waiting. We would know if we're good.
We'll see.
Okay, good. So before we adjourn, just a bit of news about when council is going to meet in the new year. So the previous council and staff flagged concerns about Monday evening meetings, and they decided to table those discussions, though, until a new council could be sworn in, and look at when council and the committee of the whole meetings could be held that would best suit staff and council. So after some deliberation, it was decided that our Monday meetings will move to Tuesdays in 2025 and beyond. So will still meet on the second and the fourth week of the month, but on Tuesdays instead of Wednesdays. So as a result, our next Committee of the Whole meeting will be held on Tuesday, January 14th, 2025. And subsequent meetings will be held second and fourth Tuesdays of the month. So seeing that there is no further business on tonight's agenda, the meeting of council is adjourned.